All right, so looks like we are actually live now. Hello and welcome to another Stereo Launch video. We are doing something a little different than the normal. We're doing a live stream tonight, and I plan on doing quite a few live streams here in the near future, along with my regular content. We're going to be doing the normal thing, talking about guitars, talking about home recording studio stuff, talking about songwriting, all that good stuff. So if those things interest you and you haven't yet, make sure you hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when new videos and live streams come out and all that good stuff. Also, I'm going to leave a link here in the comments here, and I'll leave one below the video as well. If you play guitar or record guitars or whatever in your home studio, maybe you got the kids are asleep when there's only time you can record at night and the kids are asleep, or you live in an apartment, all that kind of stuff. I have a little free guide for you if you want to go check that out about how to record loud guitars in your home studio without bothering anybody else. And one of those examples of how to do that we are actually doing tonight. So the main thing we're going to be talking about tonight is guitar amps, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about my guitar amp, the Egnater Tweaker 15. So if you play guitar or you record guitars, whatever, let me know in the comments down below which amps you have, which are your favorites, or maybe if you don't have the one you really want, let me know which one that is in the comments down below as well. So this is the one that I have right now. Like I said, this is the Egnater Tweaker 15, and it is an all-tube single channel amp, 15 watts, hence Tweaker 15, right? And it does some kind of different things than maybe your normal standard amp does, if you don't already know this. It has different modes to kind of emulate different styles of amps. It's not digital. It's actually all analog inside on the switch. So it has several different switches, knobs, and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got going on here. I got to do this. Because you can't see that very well, I have the switch here, and let me see if that comes up. This live thing is kind of new to me. Make sure you can see that picture, but that is a picture of the front of the amp, and so you'll be able to see this better. So we have on the far left, very standard on-off switch. You probably know what that does. And then also we have the play and standby switch. That's pretty standard as well. Standby, no sound. When you're ready to play, flip to play, ready to go to rock. Next, we have the vintage and modern switch. And so the vintage kind of does, we're going to play through this too so you can hear it, but the vintage kind of rolls off the top end a little bit, makes a little warmer sound. Modern is a little more maybe scooped, a little clearer, more clarity kind of thing. Master, louder, softer, good stuff like that. Then we have that USA, AC, and Brit switch. That's where it kind of does the amp emulation. Again, it's all analog. But USA, you can guess, is probably Fender-ish. AC is going to be a little Vox, like AC30, AC15 kind of thing. Brit is kind of a little Marshall-y, that kind of thing. They're not going to be exactly sounding like those things, but they kind of get in the ballpark and have that flavor. 3-band EQ, treble, middle, bass, pretty standard there. Next switch is clean and hot. So that's kind of just a way to, clean is clean. If you want a little more gain, switch up to hot, and you can get more gain out of that gain knob there just to the right of that. It is not foot switchable on the Tweaker 15. There is a mod I've seen online where it can be foot switchable. But if I were going to do that, honestly, I'd get the Tweaker 40. It's a 40 watt amp. And it actually has 2 channels. It's all foot switchable and all that stuff. So in my opinion, that would be the way to go if that's what you're looking for. Next, we have the bright and normal switch. Normal is normal. Bright adds a little like top shelf boost to it. Kind of just brightens it up a little bit on the high end. And then we have the tight and deep switch there. Tight is probably kind of just a normal, no extra low end. Deep definitely adds some low end. I normally keep it on tight unless I'm running into a 1x12, and then that way it kind of adds some low end to give you a little fuller sound. And of course we have our standard input jack there on the far right. And then if we click here to the back, here we have our standard effects loop, as you can see, return and send, pretty basic there. And then our impedance switch, 4 ohm, 8 ohm, 16 ohm, so you can match your cabinet. I keep mine at 8 ohm. Both my cabinets are 8 ohm, and the torpedo captor, which I'm running into right now, we'll talk about that here in a second, that is also the 8 ohm version of that, so mine just stays on 8 ohms. Speaker outputs, you have your main, and then your extension, and then of course your normal power stuff over there. And of course you can see my tubes in the back here. I do not have the factory tubes in here anymore. They were fine, there's nothing wrong with them, but one of them burned out, and so I just decided to get a whole new set. And so if you like the way this sounds, you think, hey, that sounds a little different than mine or whatever, I got mine from Doug's Tubes, and it's got this whole kits you can buy for the Egnater tweaker. They have other amps too you can buy a whole tube kits for, but I got the classic rock kit for this one. So that's just kind of a quick rundown on that. Let's switch back over to the camera. And we're going to just kind of, again, like I said, do a run through of different tones on here. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments as we're doing this, and I'm happy to answer those as well. So let's start over. Right now I am on the clean sound with the USA. Again, I'm running into the torpedo captor, and I'm running into a 2x12 cab emulation on that. So it's a Tweed 2x12. I think it sounds good. It's kind of big, beefy tone, all that good stuff. So this is the clean tone. We're on the modern setting right now, USA. Tight and normal, no bright switch, and clean. So here's where we're at with that. So it's got a little edge to it. I have this cranked up here on the master. That I usually like that. Gives a little more body oomph to it, and you run the amp a little harder. If you turn that down, it'll clean up a little bit more. But obviously it gets quieter as well. Let's keep that right there. So that's the USA switch. Now let's try the Ace. Hold on. Let me do the power chord thing, because I think this is kind of a good way to hear it. So USA. Vox, or I'm sorry, AC. So it's got a little more mids, low mids. It's a little, I guess, woolier sounding in my opinion. And then Marshall. So the Marshall setting is always just a hair louder. That's a normal standard thing on these. It's not just this one. That's just kind of how it is. And so those are the clean settings. Let's go ahead and let's switch to, oh, hey, let me do if we crank the gain up on the clean, it actually is obviously not quite so clean. It's definitely a good low gain or a mid gain, as that is. So back to the AC. And then if we put it on vintage, you'll hear it get a little warmer sounding. So I'll go modern, then vintage real quick. So it's kind of subtle. It depends on the settings, depends on the guitar, depends on the amp and all that stuff. But let's kick over to on the hot side here. By the way, you're not going to hear any amazing guitar playing. It's just going to be pretty basic and standard for tonight. Not that I could do amazing anyways. So let's do a quick run through on the USA, Vox, I keep saying Vox, USA, AC, and Brit sounds. And so, of course, we bring the gain down and switch to USA. It will clean up pretty good. Even though we're on the hot switch side here. And you can go nuts with the gain, but if we go like full on crazy, in my opinion, it's definitely a little too much. It kind of gets flubby. Sure, it's on here. Right. So I usually don't go past the 3 o'clock there. You can hear how it's a little less messy on the low end there. It's still kind of a little crazy, but it's manageable in my opinion. Roll it back just a hair more, and then let's take a look at what the deep switch does on this. So again, same riff or similar riff. Deep. So definitely adds some low end on that as well. Again, I don't normally use that. I usually keep it on tight unless I'm running a 1x12. So you can see I have the 1x12 cab behind me, and that is a situation where I would probably put that deep switch on just because it's only a 1x12. But I have my Avatar 2x12 oversized cabinet underneath that, and when I use that, I definitely keep it on the tight setting. It's just mainly, especially in a band or recording setting, I want the bass to hold the low end, and the guitar kind of is more of mid-range, and so I don't want to be fighting with the bass the whole time, and give the bass some space to do what the bass is supposed to do. So anyways, so I see a comment there from Hank Hill. Says, sounds good, man. Thank you, Hank Hill. Appreciate that. Appreciate you watching. And okay, so let's go. Another good thing about the Egnater tweaker is that it's a good kind of, I wouldn't say it's a pedal platform amp, but it definitely takes pedals well. So let's kick on over to the clean side again. And we're still on USA. Let's check out that bright switch real quick while we're here. So the bright switch right now is on normal. Bright off. So again, that bright switch does a top boost kind of thing, top shelf boost. And so as far as pedals, I don't have a ton of pedals, but overdrive pedals go into this quite well. Usually when I do overdrive pedals into my amp, I like to have a little edge on the clean tone, right? Probably right about there, because that will still sound clean in a band setting or live. right? So that can still sound pretty clean, but I find that if you have a really super clean sound and then you run a drive pedal into it, overdrive or distortion, sometimes it can sound like there's a clean sound and there's a distortion sound sitting on top of it. It's almost like two tones at once, and it's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sound right to my ears. So I like to have just a little bit of edge on the clean sound. And to me, that kind of helps those two sounds, that overdrive and the amp, kind of blend together and mesh better. So let's take a look at a couple of pedals real quick. That's our clean. And then very popular pedals, the OCD. I got the drive up some on this. I don't have a second camera to show you, but it's definitely has some drive on it. So OCD. So obviously lots of gain there. That's what I use that for mostly, is just when I want lots of gain. Again, one channel amp, so I keep it kind of low gain, cleanish, and I use my pedals for pushing the amp and distortion and all that stuff. I also have the Soul Food, which I use as kind of a lead boost on this. And so right now I have 0 drive on it. It is just volume boost, and the treble tone knob is about in the middle. So without, with, so oh, cool. So Hank Hill again says he's never heard of this amp before. This is a really cool little amp. It's been around for quite a while, actually. When they first came out with it, it kind of got a bad rap because they had problems with the power supplies on it. I think it was like the manufacturer over in China decided to cheap out on something, and then so power supplies blew up or whatever. But they got all that figured out like years ago, and so they've been around for quite a while. You can buy them on Sweetwater and all that stuff. But it's definitely a cool amp, and they're not very expensive. They're quite affordable compared to a lot of other amps, and I think they sound good. So make sure you check those out. And I dropped my pick. And the next pedal I typically use is the Tumnus Deluxe, and I kind of use that as a low gain. And sometimes I will kind of tweak it, and it's more of a character drive. It kind of does some cool little funky sounds and stuff like that. But here's what the no Tumnus Deluxe. With the Tumnus Deluxe. So again, I'm just putting a little bit on there. So cool pedal, sounds great through here. It'll do a lot more gain too. So if we crank the gain on that. So again, it's a very versatile amp, does clean stuff, does high gain, not high gain, does, I would say if you're wanting metal, this isn't going to do metal. But if you're wanting mid gain, hard rock-ish gain, stuff like that, this will definitely do that. If you're wanting more than that, metal and all that stuff, and you have this amp, probably going to need to use a pedal. But yeah, it does a lot of different things. It's got a lot of different tones inside there, hence the tweaker. The only con I would say with this amp is, well, if you don't want only one channel, that would be a con. I'm typically okay with just one channel. But in a band setting, I was in a rock band, and we were pretty loud, and we rehearsed in a small room. So when I was getting this up to volume to get over the drummer and the other guitar player and stuff like that, it kind of got to a point where I lost the overhead and I couldn't get very clean sounds out of it because it was just cranked up and pushing so hard, which normally was okay for me. But if you're going to want pristine cleans, if you want like a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe kind of clean or whatever, you're probably going to want to look towards the 40-watt version of this, so you can have that additional headroom in a band setting. And then also, then you get the 2 channels with independent drive and all that stuff like that. And so, or independent gain. So you have your clean and your distortion, all that stuff all built into the amp. So that's definitely an option. And there's an 88-watt version too, I think, and it's got even more stuff. But I don't see that one very often. Mainly the Tweaker 15, and like I said, you can get the matching 1x12 cab, which I have back there. They have a matching 2x12 cab that goes with it, and those are nice and light and easy for rehearsal days. But if you throw this thing into a 4x12, it'll definitely do it, and it will sound huge and amazing. So anyways, that's pretty much the rundown. Again, make sure you check out stereolaunch.com/loud guitars if you like to record guitars at home, or maybe you want to start recording guitars at home. It lists out 5 different ways you can record other people. I do it all the time. There's several options I use when late at night and the kids are asleep. It allows me to crank up my amp, get that cool loud guitar tone without bothering everybody else. And I can even go silent if I use my headphones as well. All right. All right. Thanks, Hank Hill. Appreciate that. Good luck with that Christmas list. But yeah, definitely check it out. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure to hit like and subscribe and all that. We'll be doing more live videos. Other videos will be about more guitar stuff, also about home recording studio stuff, about how to record and all that. Some tutorials and demos and just general discussions around that, as well as songwriting. So if you're into any of that, again, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching my first live stream, and we'll get fancier and better with these as we go on. And yeah, have a good evening or good day if you're watching this later, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.